You know that moment at a party? The music's humming, conversations are swirling, and then someone brings out a steaming platter that makes everyone just pause. The room goes silent for a heartbeat, and then it erupts in cheers. The scent of melted cheese, spicy salsa, bacon bits, jalapenos, crema, the battle lines are drawn. In this episode of American Food Wars, we settle a debate. Nachos or loaded fries? Which one reigns supreme as the ultimate party snack? Welcome to True History in Minutes, where we uncover the fascinating stories behind the things you use every day. Let me tell you a secret. I used to think the answer was obvious. Nachos, of course. But the more I dug, the more I realized there's a drama, a rivalry, even a hidden underdog. Behind every chip and fry lies a story of invention, adaptation, regional pride, and culinary showdowns. If you find this type of content valuable, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. It directly supports the growth of this channel. Let's begin. The year was 1943, in a border town called Piedras Negras, Coahuila, just across from Eagle Pass, Texas. A group of wives of American soldiers crossed over from Fort Duncan, hungry late in the evening, only to find the restaurant kitchen closed. Ignacio Nacho Anaya, the maitre d' at the Victory Club, stepped into a creative crisis. With only leftover fried tortillas, shredded cheese, and sliced jalapenos, he improvised. He cut the tortillas into triangles, melted cheese over them, added the jalapenos, and invited the guests to dig in. When the women asked what it was called, he shrugged and said, "Nachos especiales." The rest is legend. And so, a snack was born in a flash of necessity. But that humble origin hides a massive journey. Nachos crept across Texas, and then, thanks to a man named Frank Liberto and his brilliant, if controversial, pumpable nacho cheese sauce, they entered concession stands in stadiums in the 1970s. From there, they became a global symbol of shared snacking culture. Now let's flip the plate to loaded fries. The exact origin here is much harder to trace. There's no single credited inventor. Instead, it seems to have emerged as a natural evolution in American casual snack culture. You take crispy French fries, pile on toppings, cheese, bacon, pulled pork, sour cream, jalapenos, chili, sauces, and boom, a shareable juggernaut of indulgence is born. Loaded fries thrive because they're flexible, fast, and visually dramatic. Street food vendors love them, pubs love them, and sports parties practically live off them. And here's where the war begins. Let's talk about the weapons, crunch versus heft. Nachos are built on tortilla chips, crisp, brittle, thin. Each chip is a tiny canvas. When done right, you get that clean, satisfying crunch, with little pockets that catch cheese or beans or salsa. But if you overtop them, the chips sag, become soggy, and collapse. The tension between holding capacity and fragility is built right into their form. Loaded fries, by contrast, start with a much sturdier material, fries. That means they can handle weight. Potatoes can carry some serious heft. The fries can be thick, robust, triple-cooked, or stiff enough to support a mountain of toppings. In fact, some food writers describe loaded fries as utensil. Each fry becomes a vehicle for delivering maximum flavor. You could say nachos are like fine china, delicate and precise. Loaded fries are more like a work boot, rugged, hearty, and unafraid of a little pressure. Next, the canvas, toppings, and identity. Nachos started minimalist, just cheese and jalapenos. Over time, they absorbed more toppings: beans, ground meat, salsa, guacamole, sour cream, olives, pico de gallo, and even pulled pork or brisket in modern variations. The layers are partly post-oven, partly pre-baked. The ideal nacho has both melded, gooey flavor and those perfectly crisp corners where the cheese gets a little toasty. Loaded fries, on the other hand, often escalate things. They can match nachos in toppings, chili, cheese, jalapenos, crema, but they tend to lean heavily into meats, rich sauces, and even regional fusion. You see kimchi-loaded fries, barbecue fries, Indian masala fries. Their blank slate nature is incredibly appealing to chefs who just want to go wild. And what about the feast factor? Parties are all about sharing. Nachos, in many cases, are the ultimate communal food. One big platter you all dig into. But as the layers pile on, people start fighting over the edges, scrambling for the last crisp bits. Once the cheese and liquid penetrate deeply, the bottom layer often becomes a soggy mush. Those last bites can be disappointing. Loaded fries, if constructed well, let everyone dig in with relative equality. The fries survive deeper layering better, and the bottom is less prone to total collapse when cooked right. And when the fries are thick or stiff, they can fairy sauce upward from the bottom of the pile. Some pub-goers say the best loaded fries avoid drowning the fries in sauce. Instead, it's about strategic drizzles, layering textures, and balancing flavors. This brings us to the drama, the battle of convenience versus authenticity. Nachos carry a certain romance. They have that border town improvisation story, that hybrid Tex-Mex identity, that moment of pure serendipity. Their lineage is tangible, but they also carry the tension of authenticity. Are nachos Mexican food or Tex-Mex? Some purists decry over-the-top nacho platters as a corruption of the original, simple form. Loaded fries, however, often wear no heritage. They are plucked from fast food evolution and street food risk-taking. Their blankness is their strength. They can be anything. But that also means they lack that metal of origin or the warm glow of nostalgia. They're judged purely by their execution, not by their legacy. And then there's the plot twist. What happens when nachos try to be fries? In some circles, people serve nacho chips on top of fries, or use fries as a base for nacho toppings, blurring the lines completely. The war then becomes murky. Many menu items call themselves nacho fries or loaded nachos, creating these delicious hybrids. At that point, which side are you even rooting for? Also, consider this. High-end bars sometimes charge $60 for extravagant nacho platters at stadiums with surf and turf, lobster, and premium toppings, all wrapped in spectacle. That luxury begs the question, is it still a casual snack, or has it become fine dining in disguise? Let's look at some case studies. In Piedras Negras, every October, locals stage a nacho fest. They build the world's largest nacho, bringing communities together to honor its origin. On the loaded fries front, American fast food chains constantly cycle loaded fries in and out of their menus. Arby's famously revived their chicken bacon ranch loaded fries to great fanfare. Yet loaded fries also provoke backlash. Some diners criticize them as sloppy, soggy, a mess of sauces masquerading as indulgence. One food critic quipped that loaded fries are like finger painting, a tactile descent into flavor hedonism. So, why does this argument even ignite such passion? Because food is social. Because when you reach for a chip or a fry, it connects you to a memory. Game nights, movie nights, bar hangs, laughter. Nachos evoke a sense of fiesta, shared plates, and salsa nights. Loaded fries evoke comfort, heartiness, and that feeling of pure indulgence. I remember a backyard party where someone brought a gigantic tray of nachos meant for 12 people. 2 minutes later, everyone was elbowing each other, sneaking corners, and fighting over the last jalapenos. Another time, someone dropped off a huge bowl of loaded fries at a late-night gathering. That bowl disappeared so fast, people were literally scraping the sides. So, the verdict. If I were forced to choose, I would declare loaded fries the better party snack. Why? First, greater structural forgiveness. Fries survive layering much better than tortilla chips do. Second, broader adaptability. You can load fries in infinite ways, from simple to gourmet. And third, more egalitarian distribution. Everyone can dig in without having to jockey for the crisp edges. Emotionally, they just hit you harder. You feel full in a deeply satisfying way. But, and this is a big but, a perfect plate of nachos done right still has its own magic. The crisp edges, the careful layers, that beautiful tension between crisp and melty. In a smaller gathering, nachos can feel more refined, more aesthetic, more delicate. So perhaps the truest answer is this: the better snack is the one that's done right, in the right context. In the world of party snacks, the best tool wins the job. Some nights call for tortilla dreams, other nights demand potato power. Thank you for joining me on this delicious duel. I hope the next time you're planning a party, and that moment comes when you bring out the platter, you will understand the stakes, and maybe, just maybe, you'll choose differently. If you enjoyed this deep dive into culinary conflict, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Your support helps me uncover more stories behind the snacks you love. Thanks for watching True History in Minutes, and we will see you in the next episode of American Food Wars.